Yo, I'm Rellor, aka Megabutts. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Torterra EX. Now, this deck unfortunately does lose some pieces with rotation, but now is the perfect time to play with everybody testing post-rotation Dragapult and post-rotation Charizard. I've been cooking people on the ranked ladder with this Torterra deck. So let's jump right in to that deck list. Already here at that deck list with the star of the show, of course, Torterra EX. With that first attack, Forest March, for 1 grass energy 30 times. This attack does 30 damage for each of your grass Pokemon in play. So, big, bulky, 340 HP grass Pokemon. Also has a second attack, but we're probably never using it. Jungle Hammer, 150, heal 50 damage from this Pokemon. But we're trying to hit big by putting a bunch and just flood our bench with a bunch of grass-type Pokemon. So, with that, of course, we're playing 4 Turtwig, 3 of the Sun-Drenched Shell Grotle with the ability, once during your turn, search your deck for a grass Pokemon, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is very helpful to be able to find your Torterra or just kind of any other missing pieces that you may need. Of course, we're playing 4 Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Nice backup attacker with that Myriad Leaf Shower attack as well. It does more damage based on how many energy are on both of our active Pokemon, ours and our opponents. But the ability Teal Dance, once during your turn, you may attach a basic grass energy from your hand to this Pokemon and then draw a card if you do so. So kind of have our draw engine built right in there with that Ogerpon. Then we're playing the 2/2 line of Rellor Rabsca with that ability Sephirothal Shield, I think is how you pronounce that. I don't really know. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to your bench Pokemon. So kind of having that bench barrier is very nice. We play this over the Manaphy because it's a grass type Pokemon, so we get to do more damage. Then a 1/1 line of Cottonee with that Whimsicott having ability Wafting Heal. We play this Pokemon from your hand and it's evolved from one of your Pokemon during this turn. You may heal all damage from your active grass type Pokemon. If you hit any damage in this way, discard all energy from that Pokemon. So just want to make sure that you heal the damage before you attach an energy or have a backup energy in your hand after you heal. I made that mistake when playing this deck once, and it didn't cost me the game, but definitely made it a little more difficult. And then for our Radiant Pokemon, we have Radiant Venusaur, the ability Sunny Bloom. Once at the end of your turn, you may use this ability to draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. So have another draw engine there. And then, of course, we're playing 4 Arven, 4 Iono, 3 Turo, 2 Boss, 4 Bug Catching Set. Look at the top 7, reveal up to 2 in any combination of grass Pokemon or basic grass energies you find there. Put them into your hand. 4 Pokégear, 2 Energy Search, 2 Super Rod, Precious Trolley for the A-Spec. Search your number for any basic Pokemon. Put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. 1 Pal Pad, 2 TM Evo, 4 Aerial Zero Underdepths. This is going to open up our bench so we can get more grass-type Pokemon on the bench quickly. Because we are playing that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX, we do have access to play Aerial Zero Underdepths to get more bench space. And then 6 grass energy. You don't really need that many grass energy in the deck because most of the time you're attacking with Torterra and just trying to flood the bench with a bunch of grass-type Pokemon. So we're just trying to march the entire forest. See what I did there? Against our opponent. So let's jump right in to that gameplay. Already here at that gameplay. Unfortunately, we are going to be going first, which I tend to like to go second with this deck a lot of times so we can use that Technical Machine Evolution, which you do see 2 copies in our hand, unfortunately. But looks like we're playing against Hydreigon EX. Kind of a rough start here for us. Not really any other basic. No way to TM Evo or anything. But next turn we do have Arven, so we can go Buddy Buddy or some Nest Balls and kind of go from there. But our opponent just rips the Iono, puts into a fresh 6 cards. So we still have Arven in hand. So we're going to be able to find ourselves a Pokemon to be able to evolve into and find that evolution off of Arven. So Arven here probably going to be the trainer of choice. We're going to also get that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX into play. Trolley and that Evo here. So Trolley, the biggest thing in this deck. We're going to go and grab ourselves Rellor and 2 Turtwigs and that Ogerpon EX. Going to be able to attach the Technical Machine Evolution, attach the energy, use the evolution, and evolve both of our Turtwigs into Grotles. So now next turn we can use that Sun-Drenched Shell ability to be able to just start finding all these different grass-type Pokemon, being able to find another Torterra. Going to be able to try to just keep finding all these pieces that we may need, which will be very helpful. Our opponent here going to Clairvoyant Sense, so playing a very interesting Hydreigon list here. This is also going to be one of 2 gameplay footages on this video today. We're going to be having a second one as well. This one just kind of ended up being very quickly. We very much showcased and put our opponent in a lot of pressure, and you'll just have to see. Our opponent going to be able to just get into a Hydreigon pretty quickly here. Going to use that evolution on themselves as well. Going to be able to get a Xatu and a Zweilous just ready to go. Pass back to us, and it's kind of interesting. We're both just like TM Evoing, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know if our opponent's trying to cook with maybe a post-rotation Hydreigon deck or something. I'm not too sure what the plan was there. Or if they just were tired of playing Pidgeot. I don't really know. But we're going to be able to evolve our Rellor into Rabsca, our Grotle into Torterra. But first we use the Sunstretch Shell ability, finding ourselves another Torterra EX, and then going to be able to find ourselves a Whimsicott as well, and then going to be able to evolve our Grotle into Torterra as well, and then we're going to triple spin, I think is the plan, but we're actually going to boss pull up as well as first. Triple spin. Sure. We get 20 damage. Perfect. It hits for weakness. We love to see it. Unfortunately, not quite the greatest start in the world at this point, but we're in a pretty interesting spot. If they take the knockout, it's not too big of a deal. We're just kind of in a weird spot where we need to find an energy. And our opponent isn't really applying a lot of pressure either. And the fact that we have weakness really does kind of help out a lot. And this gameplay definitely was an interesting one, to say the least. Our opponent gets Rescue Board plus energy so they can retreat out of that Zweilous, but they're just going to find a friend here saying, hey, like, you got a bad hand, I'm going to take a time, and I'm going to find some cards. So that's what they do. They find two Pokemon, but we get ourselves Pokégear off the top. Going to find ourselves Arven or Iono, and I ended up grabbing Iono. I wish I'd have grabbed Arven looking back at this, because I would have been able to find Energy Search to find the energy, because now I'm in a situation where I don't have the energy, so now we're triple spinning again. A second turn in a row, but we hit two heads, so we're going to hit for 40 damage. Nobody said that this deck would showcase the greatest the first time, right? So the thought is that, you know, things happen. Sparkling Crystal going to go to the Hydreigon here. They're going to pitch it back up. Also, we're in a very interesting position where we can actually come back from this game very quickly. So even though with our pretty poor and lackluster start, our opponent isn't really applying a lot of pressure. We're protected with that Rabsca as well. So they're not going to be able to just go Obsidian and take a bunch of prizes and kind of go that route. But I don't know if they know that, to be honest. I don't know if they even decide to read Rabsca. Some people don't. And they don't. They got it for the Obsidian attack, take the knockout. Should have went for the Crashing Headbutt, 200, then milled 3. But you know, sometimes you just got to read the cards. So, get an energy for the top deck here. Going to be able to attach it to the Torterra. Plus, we're going to be able to have that Air Zero Underdepths. Pokégear going to find ourselves an Arven Super Rod. Going to put the Cottonee and the energy back into the deck. Arven here. And our opponent's like, yeah, you have all the pieces to come back. You're going to be able to take a huge knockout on my Hydreigon. I'm not sitting in this game. So, the type disadvantage there, very helpful. So, let's jump into that second gameplay real quick here. Just kind of hop into that pretty quickly. Change the speed to 1.5, make this big, and we will just kind of skip to the opening hand here. So, opening hand, we do have that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Playing against what looks to be Roaring Moon here. Gonna have kind of an interesting start. Gonna have that Bug Catching Set. This started a lot better than we saw in the first one. Gonna get Teal Mask Ogerpon and a Grass Energy. Gonna Teal Dance. A draw 1, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna Teal Dance, we're gonna draw 1, and we're gonna get another energy, and we're gonna attach to the Ogerpon and pass. We're in this kind of weird situation where if we're playing against a dark deck, it doesn't really matter too much where we're putting stuff. As long as we're just attaching energy, that's all it really matters, I feel like. And that's kind of where we're at in this matchup too. Sorry, I'm coming off a bit of a cold, so my throat's very dry. Next ball here, going to find that Squawkabilly EX. Going to be able to have that Squawkin' Seas as well. Going to be able to have Earthen Vessel, pitch a card to be able to find themselves some more energy here. Going to get 2 Dark Energy. And unfortunately, I feel like this isn't a great matchup for us also, even though we have that weak disadvantage, because they can just go Frenzy Gouging and then just eat through the 340 HP Torterra EX. That tends to be a problem for other people to deal with because they have that instant knockout. Our opponent going to play Arven, though, which I think is kind of interesting to see in the deck here. Nest Ball plus that Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. Nest Ball going to come down here as well for our opponent. And they're going to get the Baby Moon, which I feel like is pretty solid, actually, in this matchup. You just kind of have a single prize attacker to skew the prize trade to make it a little bit harder on myself to be able to take prize cards. They're going to attach that Ancient Boost Energy Capsule to the Roaring Moon EX. However, so we're just going to have to wait and see kind of what's going on our turn. If we find ourselves into an energy, we're in a pretty solid spot. We can just put it on the bench, Ogerpon, retreat, take the knockout, go from there. But we're going to have to see. We also could go for a Team Evo play. We could go Arven, find Trolley, plus Evo, and then evolve a bunch of stuff. Kind of go the long route as well, knowing that our opponent's just going through a lot of resources. They're going to Ultra Ball, find a Brute Bonnet, play the Pokestop, play the Brute Bonnet down probably first. But actually looking to Squawk and Seize, just saying, hey, I want another Ancient card in the discard pile. So Dark Patch going to come down here into the Roaring Moon, another Dark Patch to the other Roaring Moon, and I'm like, that is unfortunate. Trekking Shoes going to come down here, playing a lot of pre-rotation stuff, going goodbye to the Radiant Venusaur Sneasler. So this is like an Ancient box plus Poison package, which honestly, I'm here for it. Poison package, I feel like can go in a lot of decks lately. So another Dark Patch going to come down here. They've already, I think, used their Squawk and Seize ability, which is what I was checking there. And then another Dark Patch to the Baby Moon. And I'm like, yep, so that's 3 Dark Patches, a bunch of energy in play. We haven't seen a Sada. They've already played Arven for turn, though, so we should be good there. Pass back to us, and I'm like, okay, Arven, we're going to go Trolley plus Evo, and that's exactly it here. So Trolley, going to grab myself a couple Pokemon. We're going to grab ourselves the two Turtwigs, and I'm like just kind of looking. I'm like, okay, yeah. I ended up raiding the Whimsicott, and I think I make a misplay at some point here and just evolved the wrong thing. I clicked the wrong thing. But we grab another Ogerpon here. And I'm going to go Evo onto the Ogerpon, and I'm like, all right, perfect. Evolution. And then I click the Turtwig, and then clicking too quickly, I grab the Whimsicott, and I'm like, I can't believe I just did that. I could have just hit done and then failed to find. But I evolve it anyway. It doesn't really matter. If our opponent's probably taking knockouts, they're probably one-shotting anyway. So, feels bad. Remember when I said in the intro or the decklist review that I did this? I did do this. But, also, spoilers, we do come back and win the game. So, we're just going to have to see here kind of how it all develops. Arven going to come down for our opponent here. Having a switch card. Very interesting Ancient box list, but I've been seeing a lot of people cooking just all different kinds of ideas lately. On the ladder, which I'm here for. Honestly, I'm totally here for it. So in this other interesting spot with this deck, something cool I like about the Torterra deck as well is that not only can you flood the bench, but being a grass type Pokemon right now isn't too bad of a thing. You have dark type decks running around. Charizard's not as relevant, but still pretty good. Plus, just having this big, bulky 340 HP thing is really nice, and it makes it very difficult for Dragapult to get around, I feel like. Being able to have 340 hit points is kind of insane. Even if they Curse Blast with a Dusknoir, they're still gonna be 10 damage shorts, even if they Phantom Dive for 200 of the active. So, they only go Vengeance Fletching for 110 damage, which isn't great kind of on their end here. But Sunshine Swell going to be able to find us our Torterra EX. Going to be able to evolve Grotle into Torterra. Sunshine Shell again. Looking to just grab some more pieces. We're going to grab ourselves a Rabsca. Not too great of a deal, but I just was on the thin for the Iono. So it's exactly what we do. Rip the Iono here. And I'm like, perfect. We get the energy. That's exactly what we wanted. We're going to retreat out of that into the Torterra EX. Teal Dance going to come down here. Going to be able to attach, draw some more cards. And then I'm like, all right, perfect. Forest March for 360 damage. Going to be able to take our first prize card, putting us at a 5-6 split. So we are set up in this game. We are ready to go. We also have Turo to pick up the Whimsicott, so we can just kind of play it through that way. So it's not too big of a deal. Something I really like about this deck as well is if you keep a Grotle just as a Grotle, you can find the pieces to go back into Whimsicott again, even if you don't have Turo or anything, or you get Iono'd and you just have the Cottonee. You have the way to you have the pieces to find just all the extra stuff that you want, which I think is really cool. So now our opponent here going to use that Sada, going to be able to just put some energies into play. Earthen Vessel here. Going to pitch a card, get 2 of those dark energies. Going to be able to attach one to that bench. Roaring Moon we see here. Trekking Shoes coming out. Gonna be able to look at the top card, gonna pick if they want to keep it or discard it. When late in the game, Trekking Shoes doesn't feel that great. We got Shoes into Shoes, however. Pitch the Ultra Ball, get another card. Now, the downside of our opponent is they are getting pretty low on cards here, but that Frenzy Gouging could be really huge on that Torterra EX, unfortunately for us. So we're just going to have to see kind of what's going on. We also have Grotle on the bench, so we could just Sundrench Shell, find the Torterra, evolve, Energy Search, find the Grass Energy, attach, and go from there. So Frenzy Gouging, they're going to do that, put 200 right on themselves, take a huge instant knockout on our Torterra, putting this at a 5-4 split, unfortunately. Gonna go into the Ogerpon here, and I'm like, if I find an energy, it's not too big of a deal. Sundrench Cell, gonna be able to just find some more pieces here, and I go for another Ogerpon, just for something to kind of throw on the bench. I could have went for a Rabsca, or maybe something like that. Could also put on the Radiant Venusaur as well. Energy Search here, gonna be able to find ourselves that Grass Energy, attach it to the Torterra. Gonna be able to put down that Radiant Venusaur, play the Iono, get some disruption going on. Just saying, hey, like, I don't want you to have a good hand. I want to try to put you into some pretty bad cards. Bug Catching Set. And we're also trying to find our Area 0 Underdepths, which we have not been able to find very much of. So Forest March for 360 damage. Going to be able to take another 2 prizes here, putting us at a 3-4 split. Unfortunately, we're now in a position where we're probably going to want to take a knockout on one of these Roaring Moons, these baby moons here, and then boss the Squawk for game is kind of the prize mapping we want to go for. But we're going to have to see. Earthen Vessel going to pitch that Roaring Moon EX for a Dark Energy to attach it to that Baby Moon on the bench. Trekking Shoes. Discard the Roaring Moon. Get another card. Trying to just power up that Vengeance Fletching. But hitting 340 damage on a Vengeance Fletching is a lot to ask. Ancient Box or just those style of decks like that. Ancient Box itself specifically has had a very difficult time in the past, even KOing Charizard at 330 HP. We got another 10 HP on there. Getting to 340, that's a lot. So Explorer's Guidance, going to be able to just pitch some more cards in the discard pile. Tons of ancient stuff flying in there. But we're also in a situation where we're kind of in like this weird deck out spot. If our opponent can't really do anything, we can just win by them decking themselves out or decking them out. So we're just going to have to wait and see kind of what's going on here. They could roll Pokestop, but if they don't have anything to go back to, it's not that great. Vengeance Fletching for only 240 damage, and I'm like, okay, we are in this pretty cool position now. We're going to go Pokégear for boss. We're going to be able to have access to that boss's orders. Pokégear again, going to be able to grab that Turo scenario, which is not really what we wanted, but still not too big of a deal. We're going to be able to take the knockout on the Roaring Moon, but with that, we're not going to be able to do really much after that. We're going to need a bunch of energies to be able to take a KO with maybe the Ogerpon or something. So going to only take a single prize card here. That Vengeance Fletching is going to hurt pretty bad on the counter KO, as they only have we have 2 prize cards left. They have 4 left, but it looks like they're kind of out of resources. I'm not really too sure. They've already burned through a bunch of dark patches. They might have 1 or 2 more Sadas left over. We're just going to have to see what happens. One little mistake could kind of cost them the game. If they don't have any energy left, I could just put myself in a position where I could just pull up the Squawk. They played the Explorer's Guidance. They Dark Patch, put the energy on the Roaring Moon because they had 1 more Roaring Moon left. Vengeance Fletching, take the knockout. And I'm like, yep, that's it. So even it looks like they didn't have any energy there left in deck. So I would have gone for kind of a boss stall tactic to kind of win the game and finish it out that way. But being able to take the dub by decking them out, it's also totally fine. Kind of a little bit of a sloppy way to win, I feel like. But nonetheless, a W is a W. So now let's jump right in to that outro. Alright, it's going to draw for today's video. I'm going to show you the deck list that I played in today's video in the description below, ready for copy paste into TCG Live. Now, most of this deck does rotate, I know. However, I feel like now is a great time to just put in one last video about a really cool deck that unfortunately we're going to lose to rotation. So, pop that in TCG Live, give it a couple goes before it's gone, because this deck is tons of fun to play. And of course, while you're down there pursuing the content I've been making stuff for the channel, don't forget to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And of course, a huge shout out to all of my awesome channel members that you see here. There is quite a bit of you guys, and I want to thank you all for your support here on the Megablitz YouTube channel. I want to find a better way to display this, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet. So apologies, but I am definitely trying to find a way to do this that can show all of you and go from there. But anyway, that's going to do it for today, so I'll see you on the next one. Peace!